25 summers. Downstate prison closed in 2022. How do you feel about downstate prison closing?
Yeah, that was some shocking news to me, but I felt that it was long due. It was long due because the history and the knowledge that I have of being in downstate correction facility, you lose inmates lose a lot of property. What I mean property is the things that I'm allowed to have, personal artifacts such as personal shirts, sneakers, towels, soap, or periodicals and things like that. These are the stuff that whenever you go through intake was downstate correctional facility, which served as the region's reception center. This is where you got classified. This is where you were sent to a prison where they considered to be your stay while you was upstate doing your time. Um, Plenty of things. I per se lost a lot of things: property, a gold chain, a religious medallion, and all of this stuff was stolen by the officers. Something that I'll never be able to get back because there's no vouchers or no receipts or anything given. Once you come into the facility, this stuff is being taken from you and it's being stored, and you are told that it's being stored to you until you can have funds to send it home or someone can come up here and retrieve your goods for you. While you're waiting for this process, you're only going to be at downstate correction facility for no longer than 30 days because it's a reception, hold, and intake place. So that by the time you get funds enough appropriate to send this stuff home, you're already shipped out to your next facility. These officers is keeping the things, taking them home, giving them as gifts to their family members, and this happens frequently, like every day it will happen.
Was there any brutality against prisoners at downstate prison? Was there any abuse or anything?
Yeah, I seen personally myself being in the holding sections of downstate correction officer. I witnessed officers beating prisoners to submission. I witnessed them beating them bloody and stomping them out. Giving them kicks, punches. They go for your testicles because they figure that this is something very wholly dear to a man and a manhood. So they'll try to hurt that. And yeah, I've seen blood inmates be bloody, carried out on stretchers, rushed out emergency, being airlifted to outside hospitals. This happens frequently too. It is a wonder why downstate stayed open this late because right now to this date, there's got to be hundreds of lawsuits pending against downstate intake correctional facility.
Southport prison also closed in 2022. How do you feel about that?
Now that was a place that never should have been open anyway. Should have scrapped that idea a long time before it started. As you know, if you followed through our first, second, and third segments, I was part of a lot of the history of Southport. Southport was basically generated by falsely allocating funds from the state treasury department by way of the comptroller to build the facility to house the most dangerous prisoners. That didn't happen because the most dangerous prisons declined in the state of New York when Pataki took office. So the money that was spent to build Southport was completely a fraud, and I didn't think the place should have been open. It started out a general population. It became a central SHU, which is another name for special housing unit, and then ultimately came the riot. So a lot of things was going down in that places too, like such as the holding of the mail, holding of your meals, uh, getting down to visits late, the stealing of your personal property once again. Uh, so I don't believe that Southport should have been open and allowed to exist this long. So that wasn't a great shock to me. The shock was downstate because now prisoners probably being rerouted to Ulster County or Clayton or Elmira Correction Facility for reception. But downstate was a shock to me because that was the place for adults who get sentenced from the Rikers Island, from the New York City area, and then they go to downstate. So that was a shock that they closed.
Describe how you felt when you finally knew you were coming home after serving all that time.
Oh man, it's like a feeling of elation, overjoyed, really happy, afraid at the same time. Finally knowing that this just came to an end. It's no real way to explain it. It was just a really, really great feeling. I guess you can equate that to, I guess, if you win a jackpot or, you get lucky, man, with a woman or whatever the case is. But the feeling was much intense, a little higher than that, because after doing so much time, you never thought that this day would come. And now this day is here now. All kinds of things run through your head. What I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna go, how am I gonna live? So yeah, fright, a little fear, and overly joy about the situation. Yeah, I basically felt like that.
How was it adjusting to coming home? Let's start with technology. How was it adjusting to technology? Computers, cell phones, everything digital. How was it adjusting to that?
Okay, so they didn't really have cell phones when I left. Everybody communicated with these beepers, so that was a new instrument to me, man. It was very I didn't really know how to use that. The technology with the computer system had advanced far beyond my comprehension, so I was basically illiterate to computers, and took a long time to adjust and get with the flow of it and everything. To use the telephone, like I might have had a flip phone for like the first 3 4 years of being home, because I wasn't really advanced enough to know how to use a touchscreen telephone until I was taught, little assistance from a few people. But yeah, technology had just skyrocketed from the time that I was incarcerated to my release.
How about cars? I'm pretty sure vehicles changed a
Yeah,
whole lot.
yeah, the cars changed drastically, man. I remember I was in love with like the Deuce and a Quarter, 9/8 Regency, these nice cars like this. I come home and these cars have changed, and everything is a SUV, and the SUV ranges from a Cadillac to a Honda to everything. So yeah, it was real funny and strange seeing these cars. A lot of them took on shapes like spaceships and stuff like that. So it looked futuristic to me. The only thing that I had in there to keep me updated was the magazines. So I looked at a magazine called Popular Science, and Popular Science keeps you up to date on cars and the latest cars coming out and so on. So I pretty much knew what to expect, but to actually see them, yeah, that was different.
What was the biggest shock when you came home? What were you most shocked about
Then I
seeing?
went and back to my old neighborhood in the Bronx, and I visit my old block and to realize that the whole block completely changed. Even there's no buildings is there that was alike when I was there. There was nothing around there to remind me of my neighborhood except for the concrete in the street and the name of the street. Everything else was either renovated, tore down, built up new. So my block was a complete shock to me. It was strange.
Did it seem hard being home? Did it seem hard to adjust to function?
Yeah, really. Yeah, for the first couple of weeks, yeah, it was really hard because, like I said, fear plays a lot of part. You're not used to these people moving so fast and going everywhere places. But this is New York City life. But keep in mind, being incarcerated so long, you slow down. You slow down 100%. So getting out and putting you right back into the fast pace had me standing on corners, man. Waiting for people to walk by and fear of crossing the street, not knowing whether or not the traffic is in my favor or not. There was a lot of times it took me a lot of periods to adjust. A lot of things psychologically you had to confront so that I can be mentally prepared to deal with the situations in society. Everybody's moving, everything's moving, nothing is standing still.
What food did you crave the most when you came home?
Oh man, everyone would think it would be pizza, man, but not for me, man. It had to be a Big Mac, man. I grew up being loving Big Macs and McDonald's, so after not having one of them for so many years, I remember one trip they brought me down to a family reunion, funeral for my brother, and the officer was kind enough to take me to McDonald's. Man, I didn't have a Big Mac then in about 10, 15 years. So the first thing I craved to get home was probably, yeah, a Big Mac. In fact, it was because I did. I went to McDonald's.
When you were released, were you on parole when you came home, or did you max out your sentence?
I was on parole. I had to serve 5 additional years on parole supervision when I was released.
So, did you ever violate parole? Have any violations?
Surprisingly, no. I didn't even have an infraction. I haven't got a ticket or a citation or anything. I have never been back incarcerated since I was released at December 23rd, 2011.
How long did it take you to adjust to being home, like to adjust to being around people and public? and things of that nature? And did you have any bad experiences?
Yeah, it took me maybe a good month and some change to realize that this is the flow of things, that the train is going to be crowded, the bus is going to be crowded, the corners is going to be crowded. You're just going to have to get with the program and filter your way back in. It's not an easy process. It's a gradual thing, but it took a lot of, maybe a month and a half to really get back into the flow of things. Then and to coin the phrase you just iterated to me about, well, did I have any bad experience? I had a couple of bad experiences coming home on the subway train, interaction with people. One case, real quick, follow me real quick. I'll tell you this, right? I happened to be coming from a job that I had just landed because I received the job 2 weeks after being home. And it was a dirty job in construction, and I stepped on somebody's foot, and they had a nice pair of sneakers on, and I apologized to them, but I was ridiculed, and I was cursed out and everything, and a bad experience. I had a person actually swing on me for stepping on his sneakers and not apologizing quick enough and everything. That was one experience for me. And I feared that if I retaliated back, that I'll be back in. Now, being this fresh coming out, no more than 2 months being out, to get in something right now, and they'll throw you right back in there. So that's not something I wanted to do. So I actually fended off this little attack, and I took it in stride and kept it moving.
Were you scared of the police when you came home?
Uh, yeah, there's always going to be a level of fear with the police because the police have the green light to go ahead to be the police, and a lot of them are overseers, and they being more than police, so they take their positions a lot seriously. I did kind of fear the police because of the stories and on the news and the things was going on, and then a lot of shootings, unarmed people. So yeah, you still a degree of fear with the police.
Last question. Banking. Did you understand banking when you came home? And did you deal with banks prior to going in?
Absolutely not. I didn't understand banking at all when I came home, and prior to going to prison, I've never been in a bank. Period. The closest I might have been to a bank, man, was to scope out someone, man, who I was going to either take their belongings or something like that. The closest I ever been to a bank was ready to commit a robbery or something like that. Until now, I'm banking, and I understand most of it for the pretty much part, but I understand two things. I understand that if I have a paycheck and I put it in there, and anytime I want to go get it, it'll be there. A long time ago, I didn't have faith or trust in banks. I thought if you gave them their money, that was it. You was done off with your money. But yeah, I have a little faith in the banking system now, because without the bank system, there's not pretty much you can do out here now.
After doing all that time in prison, 25 years, 25 summers, if you could do it all again, would you do it the same way or would you do it different?
I have to be honest with you, because the answer that they're looking for is to say that I would do it differently and not the same thing over again. But to answer you, to be honest and completely honest with you, I would definitely do it differently again, because I wouldn't want anybody to spend 25 years in prison on anybody to do anything. So I would do it differently. I would probably have a different change of mind, change of heart, would make better decisions that enhance my life rather than throwing it all away.
When you say they, who do you mean by they?
Well, actually, I was always taught, well, they means generalizing. And if I'm not going to generalize and being interviewed, I'll keep it on me. I, myself, will probably do it differently. I wouldn't do the things I've done. I wouldn't break the laws. I wouldn't do these things that land me back up into the prison system for all these years, because these years I can't never get back. And trust me, I am feeling it, the loss of the years.
Do you blame anyone for you going to prison?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It'll be really easy to blame society and the way the unjust system is, but that's not the answer to it. The answer is looking within me. And I take 100% responsibility. No one made me do a crime, commit a crime. All of that was on me.
So do you feel like the time you did was equal to the crimes you committed? Or do you think you should have got more, or think you should have got less? Be honest.
Yeah, you given enough time to sit back, gather your thought, get your act together, get your life together, and all of that. I'm never gonna say, yeah, I need more time. Although there are people that needs more time to get their stuff together. God knows they don't need to be out in society without a plan. But I personally, me, yeah, I've learned a tremendous lesson with this, and I wouldn't want to do it again. No, absolutely not. Yeah, America. Last note before we depart: if you enjoy the content of these messages, like the video and subscribe to the pages.